We're going to talk about this whole Kamen Rider Revice lawsuit that has popped up. For this full story, we are going to head over to the Tokusatsu network. They have translated the images and the full story, and I'm going to break it down for you guys. Lawsuit filed against Toei for harassment and toxic work conditions. An anonymous assistant producer has filed a complaint against Toei on Sougo Support Union regarding various issues. It starts out with a letter from the associate producer, which I'll read in full, and then we'll break down the actual things about it. To quote the letter, "To whom it may concern, I am currently employed with Toei. I joined the company as a new graduate, and after working my way through the production department and the directing department, I worked as an assistant producer for Kamen Rider Revice, a work commemorating the 50th anniversary of the Kamen Rider franchise from November 2020. As of June 2021, I have been placed on adjustment order. Because of this, I have decided to join the Sougo Support Union, an individually affiliated labor union, in order to make demands and collectively bargain with Toei Company. Listening to the current situation and stories of the seniors who had left the field, I realized that this was not an issue that just affected only me, but a problem that has been prevalent in the company for a long time and has been left untouched. Additionally, the lack of legal compliance has been exposed on shows and hero shows, and questions have been raised on social media. I don't think I could have the courage to file a complaint against the company on my own. I would like to express my gratitude to Miss Eri Nakayama, the female stage host at Theater Jiroso, who courageously communicated the current situation of Toei in the past, and also to those who conveyed their awareness of questions through SNS at Gao Ranger Festival." This, of course, referring to a Gao Ranger Festival. One of the Gao Ranger actors touched the suit actor inappropriately on stage, and it was posted all over social media. There was a lot of fight going on whether it was consensual, whether it was a joke, and now we know that it was not, and it was not, and it was actual sexual harassment on stage. The letter goes on to state issues with Toei's overtime system that they have put into place. Once they got promoted to assistant producer, their pay changed from hourly to salary, and that Toei did that to avoid paying for overtime hours because they had agreed upon a 45 overtime hour scale, and they were actually pushing their workers to work about 70 overtime hours per month. In addition to that, the head of the human resource department explained to us that the reason Toei introduced the fixed overtime system was, quote, "because we cannot control the hours in our work as producers." So that's the first levy against Toei. The second one is, unfortunately, sexual harassment. I was sexually harassed by two staff members on set. The first was a freelance staff member in his 60s. We exchanged Line, a messaging app for business purposes, and he persistently contacted me. When I ignored his messages and left him on read, he called me. On a cold winter day, he even held my hand. When I consulted Toei's internal hotline, they were unable to give me a warning from within the company because, quote, "it is not a criminal offense," end quote, and since he was a freelance staff and not actually Toei staff, they couldn't do anything. They ended up putting out a vague notice in the staff room and called it a day. The second one was by a freelance assistant director with the excuse he called, quote, "direction." He called me in, just the two of us, and made me stand in on a camera test where we stared at each other, and he ordered me to sit with him on location bus. When I talked to my supervisor about it, he held an oppressive attitude against me. Later, when I met him again in another filming, he harassed me by not making eye contact, not giving me necessary information, and overly reprimanding me. This is the part I also wanted to point out for this one. When I became an AP for Kamen Rider Revice, I explained the situation to the producer and told him that if given the choice, I would remove myself from staff. The producer reacted with, quote, "you're lucky to be popular in such a short period of time." And then the rest of it goes on to document this person's burnout from being overworked and such, and only having about 4 or 5 hours in between set days to rest. So those are the problems Toei has going on, specifically on the Kamen Rider Revice set right now. And while I am greatly enjoying the show, it's one of my favorite riders in years. I can see the immense amount of work put into it, and if this is what it takes for that immense amount of work, then something needs to be changed, obviously. The sexual harassment, that's not even a question. Get that out of there. Fire those two people, whoever they are. But the overwork conditions, as someone who's worked in the film industry, as someone who's been overworked, at 16 years old, I was working 16 hours a day and sleeping at work and waking up at work in order to get the work done. there's just no excuse for it. I understand that every job has its requirements, but if the requirements are that, then you need more people. And you need systems in place in order to stop this. Because at the end of the day, I think what a lot of us have learned in this whole quarantine situation is you gotta stop living to work, and you gotta start just living. Work needs to be secondary to us as human beings, us as people, us, the overall experience we have on this world, because you're replaceable. I'm replaceable. Everyone's replaceable in their job. Jobs are replaceable. But me as a human, I am not replaceable to my wife, to my child, to my parents. And that's what matters. So yeah, Toei's got some problems going on there, and they need to get on it. Moral of the story for that one.